Hello. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out my broadcast today. My name is Jonathan, and today is day 312 of my 3-year challenge to lose 300 pounds. Anthony stopping in saying hello. Hello, Anthony. Thanks for checking in today. I hope things are going well for you. If this is your first time checking out one of my broadcasts, a little bit about me. I'm 39 years old. I'm married. We have 4 children. I've been overweight my whole life, and I got to a point last year where, it had been a while. I knew I couldn't continue to sustain it, but I really got to a point where I had to do something. And that's where, how I kind of created this challenge with 2 main goals in mind. The first being that I wanted to stick with it, or, stay committed for 3 years. And then the other big goal is to lose 300 pounds to get down to a much healthier weight than what I started. And when I did start, I was 520 pounds. I started the challenge off with what was originally going to be an extended water fast for 30 days. As I was doing the water fast and how I was feeling, I decided to actually push that and extend it to a 42-day or 1,000-hour water fast. In that time, I lost a little over 90 pounds. After that, I switched to a whole food plant-based diet. It was not the diet that I planned on doing when I started this, but while I was fasting, I was doing a lot of research, came across some information about a clinic that was doing medically supervised fasting, and the diet that they recommend to their patients is a whole food plant-based diet. So I made the decision to switch to a whole food plant-based diet. And since then, through diet and a little bit of exercise, I've been able to lose another 9,500 pounds. So if anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear them. If you have any questions, comments, anything you want to talk about, let me know, and I can discuss whatever you want to talk about. Let's see. Since yesterday, just kind of, it was. So I've talked about it a little bit, about being more willing to go out and do things in public and to be seen. And yesterday, my daughter had a soccer practice for her grade level of soccer. And it was at a park that's kind of on the other side of town. And Carrie, I think, originally had just kind of planned to go by herself, or maybe take the smaller kids with her to go to it. But I got home and we decided to have everybody go. So we all went as a family to the soccer thing. And it's one of those events that for a couple years, a soccer practice is a very trivial thing. It's very easy for me to be like, well, there's no need for me to go to that. But a big part of me not going to those things would be that I wouldn't want people that I know from other points in my life to see me and then see, a year ago or 2 years ago when I was over 500 pounds, to see me, grossly overweight. And yesterday was one of those things where I would have avoided going to in the past. Carrie would have taken care of it, and I would have stayed at home and kind of probably used, in the twins are getting old enough now that I can't use them as an excuse to stay home. Like they wanted to go to the soccer thing. A couple years ago, it could have been like, well, I'll stay home with them because we don't want them to, be in the way. But anyways, so we ended up going to the soccer practice. And while we were there, I ended up seeing 2 people that I don't really interact with much. In fact, so one of them, he ends up being a guy I went to college with that I didn't know him from before college. I went to a college that was semi-local to where I live now. And then he happened to, I don't know where he's from originally, but he moved to the town that I live in and has kids that are about my kids' age. So I've seen him at a few other events, and I saw him last night, and it felt good to see him and kind of almost be like, well, now I've reset in his mind what I look like, because the last time he saw me, I would have been 500 plus pounds. So in his mind, I am that 500 plus pound person. Now seeing me now, I'm still very large at 320 pounds. It's not like I'm skinny, but I think that most people who even had just seen me, or had just a small conversation with me 2 years ago would notice that I'm substantially smaller now than I was then. So that was kind of actually a nice, like, it was kind of a nice thing about going. Like I said, it kind of reset how he perceives me, maybe, or how I think he perceives me, a weird thing. And then the other was a guy that I had not seen since high school. So it had probably been 20 plus years since I had seen the other guy. He was somebody who I did some athletics with, and we went to high school, graduated together. And it was nice to, that the first time that I've seen him since high school, I wasn't 520 pounds. Because, in your head, you think, well, he still keeps in contact with other people from back then. And then maybe, the fact that he saw me, especially being 500 plus pounds, like somebody, if you feel like, again, who knows what really happens, but you feel like if somebody sees you, the next time they see somebody who in common, they're going to be like, oh my God, did you see John? I mean, he's up over 500 pounds now. He's a huge. And that's what you assume they're going to say, So for that first interaction that I had with him since high school, for me to be this weight, which still isn't great, but it's not so far off from high school. Carrie's stopping, just, saying hi here. Hi, Carrie. I hope everything's going well at home for you guys today. But yeah, seeing him, it was just an interesting kind of thing, and I definitely thought about the, how I looked, and the fact that, now he may not go back and say anything to those people that we know mutually, because I don't look that much different than I did the last time that he saw me. Well, I mean, it's been 20 years. We both look a decent amount different. His hair was a lot longer, and I have much bigger beard than I would have ever had back then. So, and really at the end of the day, the chances that he mentions to anybody other than maybe his wife, because I know his wife, I went to high school with her too, that he saw me, I'd be surprised, and he wouldn't say, I mean, at worst he would say, well, he's as big as he was in high school, or, because not everybody, but a lot of people have gained a little bit of weight, so it's a little relative, I guess, from what I was. So yeah, it was kind of a non-scale victory, in that I even went out to the soccer practice itself, and then to have, like I said, those two interactions, the one to kind of reset the way that guy pictures me in his head, and then the other to, also, and who knows what, anyways, it doesn't matter. It was a great time. It was great to go out there and to have that experience. And then, I got to hang out with the kids and do some walking, and that was what I was going to talk about the other day. I really need to get released to do stuff from my doctor, because my arm is really driving me nuts that it's holding me back, I suppose, or it's the if this is your first time, I have a full arm brace. I guess you saw the forearm part of it, but I had to have my distal bicep tendon reattached to my forearm, and that has kept me from doing really any type of major physical activity. I do a little bit of yard work and like cutting the grass and doing, close to the minimum that I can get by with doing as far as that kind of stuff, because of the arm. And it was really frustrating. It is really frustrating to be where I'm at, because I had just started to become pretty active, because I did that sprint triathlon. So I started 6 weeks out from before the sprint triathlon, which was mid-July. So let's say beginning of June, end of May. I started doing longer cardio workouts, trying to do at least a half hour. Most of my workouts ended up being hour-long workouts a couple times a week, and really started feeling like I was benefiting from that. I did the sprint triathlon, did great on the sprint triathlon overall. I completed it. That's a win in my book. And then, what sucked the most is, like, during the sprint triathlon, I was running and my feet started to hurt. And so I started walking, because I didn't want to hurt my feet, because I had a big event coming up that next weekend. And even after trying to be as cautious as I still ruptured my distal bicep tendon, 4 days after the sprint triathlon, and ended up, I did what I had to do for that last week of July, had surgery first week of August, and have been laid up since then. And we ended up going to a park this weekend, and we took the kids and we had our dog with us, and I decided that we were going to go. There was a dog park near where the kids went to play at the park. And so I decided to drop them off at the playground, and I was going to walk the dog over to the dog park. And maybe it was a quarter mile, half mile at most of a walk. It probably wasn't a half mile of a walk, but I got pretty close there. But towards the end of the walk there, my lower back was starting to hurt, and I was starting to have just kind of muscle pains that I knew were from not using those muscles, and the atrophying of the muscles over time. And now I'm trying to use them again. And I got a little tired from, I didn't get like heart rate or like winded or anything, but my muscles got sore from just walking that little distance from the park to the dog park. And that has been something that I'm going to try to start doing more walking here, because last night when we were at soccer, I was able to do some walking as well. And it was nice to walk. And I really liked walking in the woods where we were at. So we might, I haven't really talked to Carrie about it, but I might look into, we have a park that's not too far from us across the river that, there's a lot of hiking trails that it might be fun to take the kids there, especially here in the fall as the weather's kind of nice and the leaves are changing. It'd be nice to go for some hikes and do that. I'd like to, everything that I've done working out so far has been on like flat, smooth surfaces, like the running and the bike. Excuse me. Running and biking, and I'd like to do a little bit of hiking where the terrain is a little bit uneven and things like that. But with all of the feet problems that I had for the first whatever half of this thing so far, I've been hesitant to do anything that overworks my feet, but I really feel like they're in a great spot. The other thing that has been really frustrating about this time that I've had to sit and not work out is my flexibility just kind of feels like it's gone to crap. And it was something that we talked about before I injured myself, that I was going to try to look to find some place to go do yoga, because I had done yoga when I lost weight 8 years ago, and I really liked it. Carrie says the last time I took the kids to hike there, it took us 3 hours. I'm glad you're less directionally challenged than I am. Okay, so she got lost the last time she went over to that park. Yeah. I'm sure that the kids had a blast for the last 2 hours and 45 minutes of that 3 hour walk. Yeah, we were talking about getting into yoga and doing yoga, and it never happened. I got busy. I got doing the sprint triathlon stuff, which that took a lot of my time, because that's a very short cardio race, but it's still a cardio race that took a few hours. I don't remember what my time was on it right now, but it took a few hours to do the whole event. And so I had to take large chunks of time to make sure that I was ready to do that from a cardio sense. So I was doing long bike rides and long walks and runs, and I didn't have a lot of extra time to be going and doing yoga. And I know you can do yoga in your house, but it's just too tough to set up the space to do it, and then to do it not get interrupted. And I think that is something that's probably, when you don't have 4 kids running around the house, it'd probably be nice to do yoga at home, quiet in your own. But I also am not good at doing any of the poses. So going and having an instructor actually show me those things would benefit me more than trying to do them at home and do them poorly. And so that's something I want to get into, and it's something I'm actually going to talk to my doctor about. I'm seeing my doctor on Friday, so I'll go live tomorrow. I see my doctor Friday. I will not be live actually until Monday of next week. I won't be live Friday night, but I'll see him Friday morning. And that's one of the things I'm going to ask him about, is at what point would he authorize me to do yoga? Because there's a lot of things that could have contributed to me tearing my bicep tendon. But the couple things that I've always had, that tendon, like I've had pain in my elbows when I was younger and doing like high school sports. If I was doing a really intense workout or working out a lot, there was some wrestling camps that I went to, or there were some tournaments I wrestled in, that there was a lot of matches that I wrestled in, that I would get incredible pain in my elbow, and it was that tendon that would cause that pain. Or I know now, I never really put it together that was a bicep tendon, but I would do stretches to try to stretch that out as much as possible to try to alleviate the pain. And it's not something I really dealt with much as an adult. The only other time that I get that pain, and as weird as it is if I arm wrestle somebody. I don't like to arm wrestle because win or lose, if I arm wrestle somebody, I still lose because the next day my bicep elbow tendon, like just the stress of doing that, um it caused me pain. And this is all, I guess, from 15, 20 years ago. I haven't gone around doing arm wrestling events or doing anything with arm wrestling. Not that I did much, but people trying to show off and things like that. But anyways, so I feel like I already have like that tendon is a tight tendon or a tight spot. And that's what I want to talk to the doctor about. Like, at what point would he release me to do yoga? Because that's really what the extent of any working out that I want to do. That would be like super physically intense. That's not even physically intense. But we'll see. I'm sure that when I see the doctor here on Friday, that he'll release me for a decent amount of things. I mean, I'm still not going to be able to do any lifting with the arm, and I try to avoid doing things with it, but I mean, I always have stuff in my hand. Like I'll carry stuff with my arm, and I almost use the brace as a sorry, I had the brace was the setting was off or whatever. I almost use the brace to my advantage, that it locks out to like hold things that are heavier than I probably should be holding. But so hopefully when I see him, he clears me for a little bit more activity with it. But at the same time, I can tell just by the stuff that I do with my arm that I'm pushing it a bit. Like there's a little bit of I don't know. I get a little feedback that I'm pushing it a little bit from my arm. I wouldn't say pain, but just kind of, that it's not ready to do that kind of work yet, I guess would be the best way to explain it. And it's weird, like playing with it and like flexing my bicep and not having it respond the way my other bicep does. Obviously the size of the bicep is going to be less because I have, but like the reaction time from when I like flex the rest of my arm and then the time that the bicep flexes, it's a weird thing. But yeah, let's see if I had anything else here today. Those were the big things, was just the going out, being seen, and not being embarrassed about being seen is really nice. It's definitely a positive of this whole experience. And I'd have gotten over it before, but it just wouldn't have been as fun. And then the fact that I need to get working out. I want to work out. It's going to help show up in the scale. I think that once I do get a chance to start doing some, cardio workouts, that I'll see some weight come off quicker. But at the same time, I'm not too worried about getting too much in for workouts. Like that was my whole goal in starting this not whole goal, but one of my big goals in starting this was trying to show that diet is by far the most important part of this over exercise, over working out. And when I started working out, I was worried that I was going to get hooked, and I do enjoy the runner's high you get, or the feeling you get from working out. But I was worried that I was going to get hooked, and that's all I was going to be talking about was, working out and doing this and getting these, and maybe hurting my arm slowed me down a bit from doing that. But at the end of all of this, I want to say that I did this through my diet. I want people to see that you can lose weight with your diet, and you don't have to have a gym membership, and you don't have to bust your ass all the time, dripping sweat just to get things done. If you're an iPhone user, the Apple Watch complements it well. Yeah, Carrie has an Apple Watch, and it does a lot to track her workouts and everything she does. I actually have a Garmin, it's called a Garmin Instinct, and it tracks, my steps, and I can turn it on to track different activities. It's not near as interactive as the Apple Watch is. It's not probably, it's pretty basic overall, but it was kind of fit what I wanted, and I do enjoy using this watch. The only downside is that it doesn't use a regular type of charger. It's got its own proprietary type charger, so you have to have its charger to charge it. But I don't have it like track my GPS all the time either. But I don't have to charge this watch for weeks at a time, and that is way more my style than having to put a watch on a charger every night. Like, I have a hard time remembering to put my iPhone on the charger every night. If I had to put my iPhone and my Apple Watch on a charger, it would, I would just lose interest. I had an Apple Watch. I have like a first generation Apple Watch in a bag right next to me that I wore for a while, but just having to take it off and charge it isn't my thing. Carrie does it and has no problem with it. We also have a fancy charging dock thing now where she can just set her phone on it, and she sets the watch on it, and it charges it without having to plug anything in. So that kind of solves that. Right. Carrie just said it. It's easy if you get one of those little watch phone charging stands, but I would do that, but you're already using the one we have. And my phone, in fact, my phone cover, the thing that's on my phone, it's got a magnet in it, and so it gets in the way of the charging happening. So but those chargers work out nice. They are cool. I'm gonna get out of here today. I don't have much else to talk about. Like I said, I'll be on tomorrow. It is Wednesday. I normally weigh in on Wednesday. I did get on the scale today, and I am less than my last weigh-in, but not by any substantial amount. And I'm gonna just wait to weigh in till the end of this month, when I can actually, do things again, get off, not be sitting on my butt waiting for my arm to repair. But yeah, thanks everybody for checking out the broadcast today. If you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe to my channel, and then click on the little bell icon so you can get alerted for when I go live, which is usually around 4 p.m. on weekdays. I have Carrie says big salad for dinner. I was thinking about that. I hadn't had a big green salad for a while, so big salad for dinner. Did we ever get that mustard? I might be off before you answer that, but we had ordered some mustard that was supposed to be a little bit better for diet compliance. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button on the video. Any interactions that you can do are the best. We always put a little bit of corn in those big salads. You got to get all the colors of the rainbow, and yellow is one of those colors. So you got to get that corn in there. Carrie says that's why we're having the salad. We got the mustard. So You guys all have a great evening. I will be live tomorrow at 4 p.m. And if you guys haven't started your diet yet, get started right now. There's no reason to wait. You know, whatever you have coming up this weekend, you know, you're going to have something like that next year. You're going to have that same event next year, or you're going to let it knock you out of your diet or off your diet. We got a wedding this weekend we're going to. That's why we're not going to be live Friday. And normally, if we were eating the way we used to eat, that would have been something like, oh, well, we got the wedding. We might as well eat at the wedding. They're going to be buying us this fancy meal. We don't want to miss out on it because I'm sure it's not going to taste like whatever. And it could be good. I'm not trying. I don't even know. But yeah, the person, if you're gross still, even if you're not that overweight, if you're overweight and you're trying to take care of yourself, if the person that's hosting that event that has those meals really cares about you, then they're going to want you to do what is in your best interest, and not eating some of those things might be in your best interest. And so, you know, this weekend we're going to go to a wedding. They're going to have food that isn't going to be on our diet, and we'll either allow, you know, somebody who's with us that wants to eat it to have it, or we'll give it to our kids. You know, I'm sure they'll eat the mashed potatoes, things like that. So, anyways, if you haven't started a diet, get started right now and tell somebody you're dieting. Let people know in your life that you're dieting. That way you have a sense of accountability to them. They might have been waiting to hear you say that. They might have been waiting. I've just been waiting for them. And then you may get more support than you ever imagined. So get started, tell somebody you're doing it, and you guys all have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow.